afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And now we are going to have a press briefing with participation of representative of the Information and Analysis Center of the National Defense and Security Council, Colonel Andriy Lysenko.
Press briefing by the spokesperson of the Information and Analytical Center of the National Security and National Defense Council of Ukraine, Colonel Andriy Lysenko.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Today at 7:30 in the morning at one of the road posts at Mariupol, the terrorist attack was committed. As a result of that, 2 Ukrainian military officers died and 1 was wounded. At the road post, the car arrived belonging to one of the local villagers who was allegedly there to provide some humanitarian aid to the Azov regiment. The automobile was examined on the spot when the group of military officers was approaching that car. The explosion started. It was very powerful. At this point, we have an investigation of this incident in progress. According to the operational data, we had a distance blowing of the radio charge, a radio control charge. The driver is in the hospital. Competent bodies interrogating him. We do not know whether the terrorist attack was aimed at the road post or they wanted to enter Mariupol originally for a diversion in the city. Nevertheless, all the circumstances are being identified. On the 2nd of November, the fake election is being held, and the units of the ATO are in reinforced regime. We have more patrols in the village and the liberated territories, and reinforced defense of the road posts. Yesterday in the ATO, the trends of recent days continue. Terrorists still violate ceasefire regime, fire and attacked the positions of the ATO force of the Ukrainian states. Yesterday, we had activity of terrorists at the level of medium and of the weak. At night, there was no firing. We still have intensive movement of military machinery and personnel from the territory of the Russian Federation to the territory temporarily controlled by the combatants of the terrorist force. Yesterday, activity of terrorists was concentrated in Donetsk Oblast, around Donetsk city, and Novoydar and Popasna district of Luhansk Oblast. Over the day, terrorists 4 times shelled from Grad at our position, 3 times at Mariupol, and also at the variants of the Vodne village in Azov district, and also shelling and firing at Pavlopinovo, Laspa, Gnutovo, and Granitne. Terrorists 4 times fired from tanks, mortars, and firearms at the Ukrainian combatants at Mayersky village, the environs of Horlis in Luhansk Oblast. The most dangerous road post was at Krymsky village. 5 times from Graz. They fired at that post, and also there was firing and shelling at Shasty, Chernuhin, Zolote, and Hirske. Yesterday, 3 Ukrainian military officers died, and 7 were wounded, and they were taken to the medical units for assistance. Yesterday, 25 Ukrainian military officers were liberated. They spent about 2 months as hostage in terrorist detention as hostages. 17 people from Kherson battalion, the National Guard, they were brought to Kharkiv city for medical and other assistance and further redeployments in Kherson city. And the borderline between Russia and Ukraine. There were engagements on the 2nd of November from 6:30 to 6:55. The Russian party violating all the international agreements at Donetsk. Russian Federation conducted movement of 32 lorries of so-called humanitarian convoy. The Ukrainian interagency group that is temporarily deployed at Donetsk, Russian Federation, did not participate in the cargo clearance because there was no official approach from the Russian side to provide such humanitarian cargo. At Perikop, the Russian control post at the administrative border with the temporarily occupied Autonomous Republic of the Crimea, unknown persons in civilian clothes, plain clothes, interviewed drivers of the trucks on deployment of Ukrainian forces and Ukrainian means of combat of the Ukrainian forces and the police. And at the same spot, there's a radar station for surveillance and also control of drones. The leadership of the Ministry of Defense adopted a set of personnel positioning decisions for specific units of the Ministry of Defense and the General Staff responsible for logistics of the armed forces of Ukraine. And the departments and units of the Defense Agency and the area of the Ukraine Armed Forces received representatives of volunteer organizations and Department of State Procurements and Logistics. The Ministry of Defense of Ukraine volunteers will be positions for operational monitoring of the bids and information on supplies of property, lubricants and fuel, and also food. And also volunteers will get other positions to control supplies of foodstuffs and all the necessary means for every single military officer. In the Department of the HR policy, volunteers will be invited to form the personnel reserve out of competence of the ATO and also for the sector of awards and of decorations. In Department of this security service of Ukraine opened started criminal procedure against the people who conducted the so-called elections of the Donetsk People's Republic and Luhansk People's Republic under Article 109, Clause 1 of the Criminal Code of Ukraine. This is forceful coup or destruction of the constitutional order in the occupied territories in Luhansk Oblast. Yesterday at Sverdlovsk Chervona Partisans, active preparation for the provocation was observed. A group of 80 people was set up for an escapade. So they used 2 buses and 2 jeeps with a symbol of state bodyguards of Ukraine. At Lutry cloth-making factory, the big order was placed for Ukrainian uniform. Minister of Foreign Affairs of Germany, Mr. Steinmeier, stated that Russia had, with real deeds, demonstrate recognition of unity and territorial integrity of Ukraine. An important step, according to him, should be done in the context of implementation of the Minsk Accords. That is, first of all, true for the so-called election of this 2nd of November in the east of Ukraine. The election is in conflict with the Minsk Accords and on ceasefire and won't be recognized, said Mr. Steinmeier. The federal government of Germany called upon Russia to use all the capabilities and means to influence separatists, to prevent such elections. He said that Moscow has to decide on its own to on which relations and with which countries it would like to maintain the relation. Conflict in the east of Ukraine is undermining peace in Europe. A special monitoring mission of OSCE rebutted the announcement of the Russian media on their participation in the so-called election in Donbass. This is another case of cynical lies from Russian mass media that there are several politicians from Italy and Austria who represent so-called association on security and cooperation in Europe, ABSC. So with such manipulation, they wanted to set grounds for another international scandal. This is all I have for today. Your questions, please. France press, there was that announcement on a big convoy of military machinery yesterday at Donetsk. Movement of that convoy is being followed and monitored. We do not know how many of the units are there, but we know that this is reinforcement for the units of terrorists currently present in Luhansk and Donetsk oblasts. Further questions, please? Azat Fasarov of the 5th channel. Can you clarify this issue? That's incident at Mariupol. Was it the car that exploded? The car that exploded. Now the investigation is in progress, but the explosion happened on the spot where the car was parked, and the driver had no idea, according to his testimony, what he was carrying. And the explosion started through the radio control distance, radio control.
What consequences can those procedures have? What concrete consequences?
Представник каналу Deutsche Welle запитує, що розпочались кримінальне провадження. Які саме кримінальне провадження були розпочаті?
Стосовно чого? У нас дуже
About what? We have lots of criminal proceedings on different grounds.
Announced this morning criminal proceedings against
кримінальне провадження стосовно
Yes, on start of the illegal elections, legitimate elections. Any further questions? Які конкретні наслідки можуть мати це кримінальне провадження? І може мати конкретні наслідки? Чи це лише політичний почин?
Чи це просто політичний крок?
кримінальне провадження не може бути.
This criminal investigation cannot be a political step. By definition, the territory of Donbass, as we understand the temporarily occupied by the terrorists, will be liberated at some point in due course. And all those people who participated in the legitimate elections, and that is overturn of the state's power and also attempt on territorial integrity of Ukraine, they will be held responsible according to the Ukrainian law. If we have no questions, thank you very much.
Thank you.